The internet was ablaze with murmurs last night, which escalated into one of the loudest discussions we've witnessed in months. As if that weren't enough, Karlie is stoking the fires with what she's referring to as indisputable evidence that Ciara has somehow been in the crosshairs of a startling incident involving Mendeecees. We're not claiming this is true, but the amount of internet discussion has left fans speechless, with many questioning if this is manipulation, betrayal, or something more serious. Imagine Ciara, a lady who has put a lot of effort into repairing her reputation, being singled out in an unexpected storm. Mendeecees is being portrayed as the focus of yet another huge scandal, despite their history of turmoil. Then there is Karlie, who never backs down from a shocking revelation, coming forth with purported receipts that had social media in a frenzy. Is this a new development in the never-ending drama of reality TV, or is this the truth being forced into the open? Emotions are running high, fans are split, and the drama is just getting started. Fans sensed that this wasn't going to be simply another unsubstantiated rumor as soon as the rumors started. The accusations were bolder, the clamor louder, and the reactions far more heated than anyone had expected this time. People began to wonder, why Ciara? And why now? She had been concentrating on her projects, maintaining a close-knit circle, and trying to repair her reputation when all of a sudden it felt as though she had been thrust into the middle of a well-planned storm. Mendeecees, a man whose name frequently raises more questions than answers, was at the center of that storm. When videos started making the rounds on social media, the story took off. Just enough to raise suspicions, nothing too explicit. The internet became persuaded that something significant was taking place behind the scenes after seeing a fuzzy photo here and a screenshot taken late at night. When Ciara and Mendeecees were sighted at the same events or when they unexpectedly vanished from group settings at the same time, people started piecing together timelines. It was hard to ignore the buzz, whether it was a coincidence or a plot, but it was Karlie's intervention, with her own claims that truly rocked the town. Never one to remain mute in the face of turmoil, she used her platform to post a mysterious message that immediately went viral on social media. "Sometimes the truth hurts, but falsehoods hurt more," she wrote, "and I have the truth." Fans quickly flooded the comments section, demanding clarification. Was she making a reference to Ciara? Did she have Mendeecees in mind? Or was this simply one more of her ways to get attention? When Karlie implied that she had receipts, the rumors intensified. The mere mention of that term is enough to make spectators go crazy. Receipts are proof. Receipts imply screenshots, recordings, and photographs, elements that are difficult to dispute. This was great for drama-loving followers. "If Karlie has receipts, things are going to get messy," one person tweeted, while another cautioned that receipts can make or break someone's entire career. The timing couldn't have been worse for Ciara. Instead of being trendy for her achievements, she was trending for all the wrong reasons while working on a new project that she hoped would help her reputation. Her supporters hurried to her rescue, claiming that she was unfairly singled out. One supporter replied, "Leave Ciara alone. She's been through enough." However, many others were prepared to assume the worst, arguing that fire always follows smoke. The fact that Mendeecees' name was brought up simply made matters more difficult. This new plotline seemed to fit the story too nicely, and his past already portrayed him as a man surrounded by gossip and speculation. People started to doubt his objectives, allegiance, and even his character. Was Ciara being set up by him? Was he a pawn in this game? Or had he just been caught up in something that had gotten out of hand? The manner feelings were expressed in public was what made this situation very volatile. Cameras captured what appeared to be a heated argument between Ciara and Mendeecees at a recent event. Their body language conveyed a sense of irritation. Mendeecees attempted to minimize the problem with dismissive gestures, while Ciara was clearly unhappy and shaking her head. Fans were able to construct their own interpretations without the use of audio, even if no words were clearly recorded. One observer remarked, "You can see the pain in her eyes," while another maintained, "He doesn't care. He's brushing it off like it's nothing." In a live session, Karlie added gasoline to the flames by implying that she had been alerting people to this for some time. She smirked and said to the audience, "I don't talk unless I know what I'm talking about." After a barrage of questions, the live stream ended abruptly. leaving her audience both dissatisfied and eager for more. When the truth comes out, don't say I didn't try to tell y'all. The strain was permeating interpersonal relationships in addition to social media and public appearances. According to insider rumors, Ciara had confronted a close friend and accused them of disclosing personal information. According to reports, she said, her voice trembling with rage, "You think? I don't know who's talking." Even though the friend disputed it, the harm had already been done. Ciara was starting to feel alone as mistrust was growing like wildfire. Every fresh piece of information felt to fans like a puzzle piece being added to an unfinished image. Ciara appeared to be the victim at one point, singled out and coerced. And then it appeared as though she may have been involved in the mess from the beginning. Everyone was hooked and dizzy from the incessant back and forth. Uncertainty feeds drama, and this scenario provided plenty of it. Behind the scenes, producers were apparently ecstatic. Every time a new rumor emerged, the show's viewership skyrocketed, and the plot essentially wrote itself. However, even they needed to exercise caution. Not pressing enough ran the risk of losing the audience's interest, while pushing too much could destroy connections irreparably. In order to keep spectators interested, a fine balance has to be struck between allowing just enough pandemonium to flow out. As the days went by, it became clear that things were getting worse rather than better. Whenever Ciara attempted to defend herself, a new charge surfaced. People always presumed culpability when Mendeecees remained mute. And the anticipation became intolerable each time Karlie hinted at her purported truth. Fans were unable to turn away from the cycle, which had no apparent conclusion. Then the moment that changed everything arrived. Karlie shared what looked to be a screenshot, which was enough clear to imply a private conversation between Ciara and Mendeecees, but blurred enough to avoid giving away too much. Her comment said, "This is just the beginning," but she didn't explicitly explain what it meant. Within minutes, the picture went viral, with followers dissecting every little detail. Was it real? Was it staged? Or was it just a shrewd move to keep her name in the news? In any event, the harm was done. Inquiries evolved into charges into contentious discussions, and before long, the community was split into opposing factions. Online, Team Karlie, Team Mendeecees, and Team Ciara were engaged in combat, each of them certain that they had the truth on their side. The drama took on a life of its own, fan friendships disintegrated, and emotions ran high. However, just when it seemed like the storm could get no greater, other rumors surfaced, implying that the images were merely a tiny part of a much bigger picture. Fans were going crazy over the blurry screenshot, analyzing each pixel as though the tiniest detail would reveal the whole secret. While some swore the writing style in the messages didn't resemble Ciara's, others said the background matched a place she had recently visited. The phrase, "This is just the beginning," was sufficient to keep everyone riveted to their TVs, though. The type of tease that stoked incessant conjecture was precisely what Karlie appeared to desire. Ciara's response was prompt, but well-crafted. She went live with a collected yet tight expression, stating that she was sick of being the subject of untrue stories. Her tone conveyed both fury and tiredness, as though she was finished with the cycle yet still caught in it. "People will do anything for attention," she added, "but I'm not going to let lies define me." Fans were divided on what to believe throughout her live performance. While some commended her strength, others drew attention to instances in which her voice faltered, as if she were concealing something. As usual, the Mendeecees opted for silence. The turmoil was exacerbated by his refusal to speak. He was happy to let the storm continue without doing anything, even though many were pleading for answers. His absence from the discussion was as loud as any remark he could have made, which unnerved both his followers and detractors. One fan said, "Silence is an answer," while another retorted, "Perhaps he's just letting everyone talk themselves in circles." Tensions were said to be simmering behind the scenes. There were rumors that Ciara had privately contacted Karlie and asked her to cease disseminating false information. Ciara accused Karlie of attempting to damage her reputation, and the purported exchange was characterized as intense. Insiders claim that Karlie retaliated by saying that she was merely revealing what everyone else was too afraid to publicly express. If accurate, that private altercation further entangled the web of rivalry, betrayal, and Friends and coworkers were forced to take sides when the drama overflowed into group events. According to one insider, Ciara's arrival at a recent dinner completely changed the atmosphere. While some avoided eye contact and formed an invisible line down the center of the room, others embraced her right away. According to the source, it felt like a war zone without any actual fighting. Because no one knew who was being honest anymore. Every laugh was forced and every smile was fake. Karlie, on the other hand, kept acting as the provocateur. Her admirers flooded her comments with questions, hypotheses, and support as she shared another mysterious message, this time stating that truth always comes to light, even if people try to hide it in the dark. However, others started criticizing her, saying she was only causing trouble to get attention. One comment said, "This is just messy and you're enjoying it too much." Another said, "If you really have the truth, show it." Reactions weren't limited to fans. Families were getting caught up in the chaos. There were speculations that Mendeecees' domestic partner was upset about the continuous conversation. Others said she had begun to emotionally distance herself, uncertain of how much of the story to accept, while others said she had challenged him, demanding clarification. The scene was further enhanced by the rumors of internal strife, which depicted a man torn between scandal and loyalty. Ciara's family was not exempt either. According to people close to her, family members had advised her to avoid the limelight until things settled down. But with her name in every headline, backing off was not an option. According to reports, she sobbed during a phone conversation, telling a confidant, "I don't even know who to trust anymore." Fans found solace in the picture of her sobbing, and some even strengthened their support for her. Behind the scenes, producers witnessed a sharp increase in ratings during this entire period. More drama, more conflicts, and more secrets were promised in each trailer for an upcoming episode. The controversy had taken center stage and eclipsed all other plot points, making it more than just a piece of gossip. In order to keep the subject from deviating too far from the controversy, some sources even asserted that the producers fostered the feud by encouraging cast members to bring it up while filming. Then followed the unexpected and startling turn of events. What appeared to be voice recordings of talks that sounded uncannily similar to Ciara and Mendeecees were released by an unknown account. The voices were close enough to provoke widespread discussion, even if the recordings were not very clear, due to background noise and muted tones. "You know what this is? You knew from the start," a man's voice said in one recording, while a woman's voice retorted, "I didn't sign up for this kind of heat." Fans immediately split into two groups. While some claimed the recordings were altered, others maintained the sounds were indisputably theirs. Hashtags took off, and people began slowing down, examining the videos frame by frame, and even employing self-styled experts to verify their authenticity. The public served as the judge and jury in what became a digital trial, but there could never be a definitive verdict. Ciara firmly refuted the tapes, claiming they were fabricated lies. She reaffirmed her position, saying, "People are going to desperate lengths to drag me down." Although her fans gathered around her, her detractors remained unconvinced. One reviewer said, "Prove it if it's fake." Where is the proof that these are fake? Despite everything, Mendeecees remained silent. His quiet was deafening, and it seemed more like an admission than a plan as each day went by. Online memes ridiculed his reserved approach, while some suggested that perhaps he had run out of viable alternatives. One post said, "Say something, and you're guilty. Say nothing and you're guilty," which perfectly captured the predicament he was in. The toll on emotions was evident. Cameras captured Ciara sobbing during a recent taping following yet another altercation. Her voice broke as she sobbed, "I can't keep defending myself against things that aren't even real." Fans debated if her tears were sincere or a ploy to elicit compassion as the moment swiftly went viral online. Regardless of aim, it garnered media attention and solidified her as the main character in the whole scandal. Karlie then intimated that the alleged truth she was revealing wasn't even completely out yet, just when it felt like the clamor couldn't grow any louder. She implied that there was more pandemonium, more proof, and more receipts that were just waiting to be discovered. "You guys think this is bad," she said. "Hold on until you see what else I have." Everyone went into overdrive at the prospect of yet another discovery. What else is there to leave? Were other screenshots? Additional recordings? Or something more significant that might finally break everything? The whole plot hung in the balance once more, teetering on the brink of another unpredicted explosion, and the anticipation was agonizing. As promised, Karlie hinted that what she had already revealed was only a portion of the whole narrative, which escalated the drama to a fever pitch. Believing that she was going to set off a bomb that would alter everything, her fans waited tensely, reloading her page every few minutes. The internet went into a frenzy when she posted a black screen with the simple words, "Ready for more." Social. Media was now entirely consumed by the story. Fans produced intricate timelines, highlighting discrepancies in each person's account and contrasting purported screenshots with actual occurrences. They also retrieved earlier interviews. Using lines and clips from previous seasons, one particularly popular thread conjectured that Ciara and Mendeecees had been connected for far longer than anybody had thought. Whether true or not, the unwavering devotion of followers made conjecture appear perilously near to reality. Tired and furious, Ciara attempted to take charge of the story once more. Her voice was calm but tinged with fury as she sat down for another live performance, her face devoid of makeup. She said, "I'm done with this circus. I've repeatedly told you that these lies are untrue, but people prefer to believe in drama. Over facts." Some supporters found her comments to be powerful, but doubters jumped on every pause, every tone lapse, and every brief moment of doubt. "If I were guilty of anything, I'd own it. But this is not me." Mendeecees eventually made a comeback in public at an event as Ciara struggled to regain her composure. His every action was recorded by cameras, which searched for hints in his actions. He pretended that the whirling cyclone surrounding him didn't even exist, grinned, and posed for pictures. He laughed quickly and dismissed a reporter's attempt to question him about the reports, saying, people will say what they want." His nonchalant rejection just made matters worse. "I can't live my life worrying about every headline." Supporters accused him of being conceited and disrespectful to others who were brought into the issue. Karlie took advantage of the situation and asserted that his casual demeanor demonstrated her correctness from the beginning. During another live stream, she informed her fans that he doesn't care, of course. He believes that no one will criticize him for doing what he wants. However, I will. The comment section erupted, with some applauding her courage and others denouncing her for taking advantage of the circumstance. Her name continued to appear in every discourse, regardless of the response. Insiders said the animosity between the three had escalated to intolerable proportions behind closed doors. The three were confined to the same room for a group shoot, and the intensity of the atmosphere was so intense that crew members said it was suffocating. With her arms folded and her gaze locked on the ground, Ciara sat rigidly on her chair. Karlie smirked gleefully, obviously relishing the torture, while Mendeecees sat back and nonchalantly scrolled through his phone. The altercation was intense when the cameras started rolling. With her voice shaking with anger, Ciara yelled at Karlie, "Why are you bringing my name into this mess? You are well aware that I have done nothing to merit this." Without hesitation, Karlie retorted, "Done nothing? The evidence is in front of you, girl." She pointed to Mendeecees, who hardly raised his head from his phone, and said, "The only person you should be angry at is him, not me." Ciara's voice broke as she yelled, "You have rumors, not evidence. You're ruining my life to gain influence." Karlie leaned forward and said in a chilly tone, "When the truth is revealed, clout doesn't cry." With the exception of Mendeecees' final comment, "This is ridiculous," the encounter left the audience silence. His contemptuous tone caused gasps, and Ciara's face fell in shock. With tears in her eyes, she repeated the word ridiculous quietly. "You call it absurd that my life is collapsing." Within hours, the video of that altercation went viral and became one of the season's most replayed scenes. Fans were always arguing over which team to support. Some said that Ciara was being manipulated and that her suffering was real, but others maintained that Karlie wouldn't jeopardize her reputation if she didn't have anything genuine. And Mendeecees' refusal to accept responsibility only made matters more confusing, leading everyone to speculate as to whether he was at fault, unconcerned, or merely attempting to put out the fire. As if that weren't enough, a brief video clip from another unidentified leak appeared. It was blurry, shaky, and shot from a distance, but it seemed to depict a late-night meeting between two persons that resembled Sierra and Mendeecees. Although the video was far from definitive, half of the internet was persuaded by the similarities. The video garnered millions of views in a matter of minutes, generating discussions and making headlines. Sierra pointed out discrepancies in the figures, claiming it didn't fit her attire or haircut at the time, and denied it was her right away, referring to the video as another desperate attempt to frame me. However, the denial was insufficient for a lot of fans. One comment that went viral said, "It looks like her, it moves like her, it is her." Others resisted, arguing that the quality is too poor to prove anything, and that could be anyone. Sierra's closest allies started to turn away during it all. Others provided ambiguous, ambivalent support, while others completely ceased blogging about her. The isolation was beginning to show, and it was obvious that even her tight circle wasn't sure what to believe. After the video emerged, however, Karlie stepped up and posted a string of laughing emojis, seemingly ridiculing the pandemonium that was taking place. Mendeecees continued to refuse to issue a suitable remark, and his silence became the focal point of the whole controversy. Fans pleaded with him to elaborate, to confirm or deny, but he remained silent, apparently happy to watch the two women spar. One admirer speculated that he's playing chess while they're playing checkers. They are destroying each other, so he doesn't need to say anything. However, rumors circulated behind the scenes that the silence was actually fear rather than strategy. According to insiders, he was concerned that speaking would just make him more vulnerable, and that any denial may be shown to be untrue if additional receipts were discovered. Whether accurate or not, the impression was sufficient to hold supporters' attention while they awaited the next action. Then Karlie blogged again right before the craze peaked. She didn't post a video, a recording, or a screenshot this time. Instead, the message was ambiguous, obscure, and terrifyingly effective. She just stated, "Y'all haven't seen the real truth yet." That signified that there was more to come, and everyone knew it. The scandal's tension had reached a breaking point, yet rather than subsiding, it continued to rise. Every time it seemed like things couldn't get any worse, something new sprang up to pull everyone back into the tumult. Fans understood that another outburst was imminent when Karlie implied that the real truth had not yet been revealed. Were brimming with conjecture over what she might have had left to disclose. Sierra, on the other hand, was falling apart. People who knew her spoke of restless nights, desperate phone calls, and a crippling paranoia. She stopped going to public gatherings, out of concern that every camera aimed at her would further distort her image. She said, "I feel like my entire life is on trial, and I don't even know who the judge is anymore," in a tearful outburst that was captured on camera. It was an honest admission that demonstrated the extent of the harm. Although Mendeecees persisted, in his silence it was no longer serving him well. People felt he had something to hide the longer he remained silent. One headline said, "He's guilty by silence," while another said that his staff was telling him to wait out the storm until the craze subsided. Nevertheless, admirers persisted in tagging him in posts that demanded answers. When Karlie eventually disclosed her future course of action, it was a turning point. She shared what appeared to be an entire chat thread rather than another hazy screenshot or ambiguous caption. Timestamps were still present, names were apparent, and the content was legible this time. The text seemed to be conversations between Mendeecees and Sierra, full with plans for late-night meetings and suggestive remarks. The screenshots went viral in a matter of minutes, sweeping across platforms like wildfire. Instantly, the internet became divided. This was the smoking gun, the indisputable evidence that Karlie had been correct from the beginning, according to her admirers. Team Sierra retaliated by asserting that the texts might have been changed or faked. Fans engaged in intense arguments, each side believing the other was unaware of the facts, while hashtags flew back and forth. Sierra swiftly stepped forward to refute the messages. "Those texts are fake," she said, sobbing during a shaky live performance. Although she spoke with passion, many couldn't help but notice how broken she appeared. "People are trying to destroy me with lies, and I won't let them win." While some viewers expressed sympathy and said it was sad to watch her fall apart, others remained doubtful and believed her act was staged. Karlie doubled down, unmoved by the criticism. She also went live, speaking in a soothing yet incisive tone. "I would have done this years ago if I wanted clout," she remarked. "The truth is messy, but it's the truth nonetheless." Her belief that people need to stop protecting the wrong ones struck a chord with many viewers, solidifying her dual roles as the saga's antagonist and protagonist, depending on who you ask. It became impossible to ignore the Mendeecees' quiet. With conflicts breaking out behind closed doors over his failure to publicly confront the matter, rumors started to circulate that his own household was about to implode. According to several insiders, his partner threatened to punish him if he didn't clear the air. However, he continued to remain silent in public while observing the women tearing each other apart in the spotlight. Careers were also impacted by the incident. After the texts were exposed, Ciara apparently lost a significant endorsement arrangement, which the brand attributed to reputational concerns. This was a terrible setback for someone who had worked so hard to establish her professional image. According to one insider, she blasted in private, saying, "They're taking food out of my kids' mouths with these lies." The saga was too captivating for fans to ignore. Online watch parties became popular, with participants scrutinizing every post, every phrase, and every sidelong glance captured on camera. It evolved into a cultural event rather than just a piece of gossip. It became more difficult to distinguish fact from fantasy the further it went. Then the most intense altercation yet had place. When the three were compelled to reunite in the same room during a taping, tensions quickly erupted. Anger-stricken, Ciara went to Mendeecees. "Please say anything. Make my name obvious. Tell them this isn't true," she said, her voice breaking with desperation. Before he finally spoke, he gave her a lengthy look. "I owe no one an explanation." His remarks sent shockwaves through the room. Not you, not her, not them. While Karlie reclined back in her chair with her arms folded and a contented smile on her face, Ciara broke down in tears. The consequences were immediate. Fans analyzed every moment of the altercation as videos of it circulated online. The expression, "he doesn't owe explanations," gained popularity as a way to make fun of his conceit and lack of interest. It was again another humiliation in front of the public for Ciara. It was a moment of validation for Karlie, and it was the final straw for fans who had already had more than enough of a controversy. However, the tale persisted even after that. There were reports that there was another film, one that was so destructive that it might destroy everything. Some stated Karlie had it, while others alleged it was being held back by an unnamed source as leverage. Fans were captivated by the notion alone, eager to see how far the controversy could go, regardless of whether it actually existed. A terrible realization emerged as the dust settled. Friendships had been lost, reputations damaged, and trust shattered. Since the damage had already been done, it made no difference if the receipts were authentic or fraudulent. Once the doubt was sown, it was impossible to completely remove, and ultimately all that was left was a jumble of feelings, charges, and shattered relationships. Ciara, Mendeecees, and Karlie would be remembered for their legacy long after the cameras stopped rolling and the audience moved on to the next big story. The scandal was no longer just a headline. Everyone is wondering the same thing as the dust starts to settle. What will happen next? Ciara's reputation has been ripped apart by rumors, screenshots, and whispers that may never completely go away. Mendeecees has endured the crucible without providing the clarification that fans pleaded for, and by being silent, he has added to the mystery. Karlie, the matchlighter, is now surrounded by the pandemonium she revealed, hailed as a truth teller, and denounced as someone who enjoys drama. Fans continue to relive every moment in slow motion, attempting to piece together what is genuine and what isn't, while families are split apart and friendships are shattered. Did Ciara enter an uncontrollable situation, or was she actually the target? Was the scenario being manipulated by males behind the scenes, or were they just caught between two women who wouldn't give up? And did Karlie reveal the truth for the sake of justice, or was it merely her strategy to regain the limelight? We can be certain that everyone involved in this incident has been permanently impacted. This is one of the most memorable stories we have ever witnessed because of the betrayals, the accusations, and the emotional breakdowns. However, the implications of what has been disclosed will persist long after the cameras have stopped filming, so the narrative doesn't end here. We would like to hear from you now. Do you think Sierra is the victim of a vicious setup? Or do you think Karlie's receipts demonstrate the truth? Was Mendeecees' decision to remain silent the best one he could have taken? Or was it a mistake? We are aware that you have opinions, so please share them in the comments section. To ensure you don't miss the next exciting update, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and enable notifications if this article captured your attention. Because this drama is far from done if the rumors are accurate,